A letter to the burden bearers, those who carry more than they show. In an era where the world spins with frantic uncertainty, many ask, why must we unearth Stoicism, a philosophy born over 2,000 years ago, and speak of it once more? The answer is simple yet profound. Stoicism is not a philosophy of idle dreams. It is a philosophy for wartime and crisis. In days when you are besieged by information overload, societal expectations, and economic volatility, Stoicism acts as an anchor, holding your soul steady against the drift. It was designed to teach humans how to maintain internal peace amidst external chaos. Thus, it is not merely a history lesson, but the most precise survival manual for anyone facing the storms of modern life. Returning to this ancient wisdom allows us to realize an eternal truth. Whether 2,000 years have passed or the world has shifted into a tech-driven future, the essence of humanity still faces the same ancient gales. We are moved by the same turbulent tides of lust, greed, anger, and delusion. These raw emotions are the imprints inherited through the bloodline of all mankind. Yet, simultaneously, whether through Stoic principles or the profound teachings of the Buddha, there exists a deathless truth that has marched alongside human history. This wisdom never becomes obsolete because it does not merely address the problems of the era, it addresses the roots of the heart, which still wander in the same currents of desire. Comparing Buddhism with Stoicism allows us to see the panoramic landscape of wisdom from both East and West. Historically, Buddhism preceded Stoicism by approximately 250 to 300 years. The Buddha attained parinirvana around 483 BCE, while Stoicism was founded by Zeno around 300 BC. This distance in time and continents reveals a miraculous reality. Humans, regardless of where they reside, share the same fundamental nature. However, the greatness of a human being is measured by their way of handling disappointment and suffering. Each philosophy has cultivated different remedies, yet both share a single destination, liberating the heart from being a slave to its own emotions. However, for you who bear heavy burdens, a vital question arises. How do we know if this is insightful wisdom or merely self-deception used to escape pain? The clearest line of demarcation is the acceptance of reality. Self-deception, delusion, is the denial of truth, a pretense that problems do not exist, or the creation of a simulated world to soothe oneself temporarily. But building a fortress of wisdom begins by facing the misfortune with the most honest eyes, and then choosing the attitude with which to respond. Stoicism does not teach us to say, prison is heaven, but to accept that the body may be imprisoned, yet the mind can remain free. This is not deceiving oneself that suffering isn't there, but accepting the pain without ever becoming its slave. The origin of this strength does not come from preparedness, but from the wreckage of failure. Consider Zeno of Citium, a merchant who lost everything in a shipwreck and wandered aimlessly through Athens. Destiny led him to an old bookstore where he heard the shopkeeper reading Xenophon's Memoirs of Socrates. In that instant, Zeno realized, though the sea has taken my wealth, nothing can take wisdom from me. He began his studies and chose to declare his mental independence at the Stoa Poikile, the painted porch, proving that true wisdom must function in the real world. This evolution emphasizes that suffering has no social class. From Epictetus, a crippled slave who was brutally tortured by his master until his leg was permanently broken. While his master was twisting his leg, Epictetus calmly remarked, "You are going to break it." And when it finally snapped, he simply said, "Did I not tell you it would break?" He discovered that while a master could break his limb, no one could break his will. To Marcus Aurelius, an emperor burdened with the weight of Rome amidst the Antonine Plague, he expanded the concept of the internal citadel, a state of mind both stable and resilient, a fortress that knows what to let in and what to lock out. This space is the only part of the universe that no one can invade unless you grant them permission. If you believe these are merely legends of extraordinary men, I ask you to pause for a moment. Epictetus did not start as a sage. He started as someone else's property. Marcus Aurelius did not have time for quiet meditation in a comfortable palace. He wrote his meditations on the front lines, surrounded by armies, corpses, and plague. What separated them from ordinary men was not luck or superior intellect, but the refusal to surrender the power of their heart to their circumstances. In Buddhism, this state is akin to Vihara Dhamma, living in the Dhamma, or maintaining a heart of upekkha, equanimity, unshaken by what cannot be controlled. This fortress functions through sammasati, right mindfulness, which is swift enough to intercept distraction before it occupies the heart. Though Stoicism preserves the self while Buddhism moves toward non-self, anatta, both converge at training the mind to never fall slave to craving and fear. Neither Stoicism nor Buddhism promises that life will get easier. They promise only one thing: if you truly practice, suffering will no longer have the power to make you feel small. The world may remain loud, injustice may persist, but nothing will pass into your heart without your awareness ever again. The strength of the fortress is vividly seen through three great men who transformed their hell on earth into a mission. Viktor Frankl, an Austrian psychiatrist swept into Nazi concentration camps. He was stripped of his wealth, torn from his wife, and reduced to a mere number. The turning point came when he saw fellow prisoners surrender to death once their meaning in life vanished. Frankl vowed to survive to proclaim his theory of logotherapy. He discovered that humans could endure immense suffering if they knew what they were enduring for. He secretly scribbled his insights on scraps of paper amidst the freezing cold to pass on the lesson that even in the darkest hell, humans still choose the meaning of their own existence. Sima Qian, a grand historian of the Han Dynasty. His life plummeted when he chose to speak the truth, to defend a defeated general. This act enraged the emperor, who sentenced him to death. His only choices for survival were a massive fine he did not have, or the punishment of castration, an ignominy far more agonizing than death in the eyes of ancient China. Sima Qian realized that if he died now, over 2,000 years of Chinese history he had gathered would vanish with him. He accepted the shame to complete his masterpiece. Shiji. He chose the honor of the work over the honor of the self, proving that faith in truth is worth more than the dignity of a single breath. Nelson Mandela, a leader imprisoned for 27 years. In the isolation of Robben Island, he spent his time in rigorous self-discipline and reflection until he realized hatred is another kind of prison. It shackles both the oppressed and the oppressor. Mandela did not endure to wait for a day of revenge. He prepared himself to be a statesman. He practiced forgiving his enemies amidst smoldering rage because he understood that vengeance would destroy the nation he wished to build. His forgiveness was not weakness, but the most profound moral strategy. In daily life, you are often framed by myths, the idea that success is measured by luxury and status. These myths are the enemy scouts picking at the walls of your heart, making you believe you have failed. In truth, real peace might be as simple as a glass of water on a day when the heart is free from comparison. Breaking these myths helps you see the value of normalcy, rather than being driven mad by the cult of accelerated success that pressures you beyond reality. Why does spiritual truth seem less powerful than a bank balance? Because the economy plays on the fear of death, but philosophy plays on the art of living. Fear makes us slaves, but wisdom makes us human. Stoicism does not teach the world to be better. It teaches you to stand tall even when the world is not better at all. Changing your perspective to see obstacles as a gym helps you build an internal citadel that grows stronger with every struggle. Ultimately, the obstacle is the way. Every hardship surrounding you is the raw material for your internal fortress. Sustainable success comes from the accumulated learning of those who dare to face reality. As the saying goes, the strongest trees do not grow in quiet places. They grow where the storms howl the loudest. Epilogue. When the world tries to break you. If today you feel betrayed by the world, burdened by an unbearable weight, or overlooked in your efforts, refuse to lower yourself to the status of a victim of fate. Do not waste time asking when it will end, but stand up and ask, what part of my wisdom is this storm currently forging? Remember, gold does not complain about the heat of the furnace, and diamonds do not cry out against the immense pressure. Every squeeze that cracks your heart is the laying of the strongest brick for your internal citadel. When you stop looking for sympathy and start looking for your mission, amidst the crisis, that is the moment you truly become the master of your destiny. The next time the world tries to break you, it will find that it is not fighting a fragile human, but colliding with an unshakable fortress of stone. Stop living merely to survive the day. Start living to transform your suffering into a legend. For in the end, the world remembers not those who faced the least misfortune, but those who rose with the most grace from the ruins.